Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm excited because I'm gonna show you guys how to create a custom GPT that can help you with zoning analysis and data analysis. I know this is very important because a lot of architecture firms and a lot of clients that I work with are wanting to kind of get these kind of how do you create some like tool that is custom that can give you all that project data analysis already in with one address, right? Like because now you could potentially now get Gemini and ChatGPT and ask questions like what is the zoning of this address and what is this and what is that, and it's great to a certain point, but a lot of the times what I've noticed is that ChatGPT or Gemini starts getting the information from the place that you don't really want. So for instance, for me to get the zoning of a specific address, I would like the address. I would like I would like the ChatGPT to kind of get information from the map that the city provides, and then from that map it can locate the address and then give me the zoning based on that. But a lot of times, sometimes it gives you the zoning based on Zillow or based on Redfin, and as a professional you rather be 100% right and not get it from Zillow. You rather get it from the actual website that it's supposed to be, because you don't know if Zillow or those are gonna be correct or not, or outdated. So a lot of the issues is kind of how do I get ChatGPT or Gemini or this tool to get information from these specific sites, and how can I automate it? So instead of me every time I go to a project asking the same question, say 5 to 10 questions over and over again, how can I just type an address and it automatically creates a form for you that already has the address, APN, zone, what part of, for instance here in the example, so for here I automated this custom GPT for it to kind of give me already the zone, give me the general plan, give me the land use, give me the setbacks, give me the height limitations, give me the lot size, the calculated density, and all these things already based on a lot of the data that I already, and even though sometimes it will get some data based on a specific website that I don't want, I can control it a lot more than if I just use it without being customized. So me, after analyzing this, 90% of the things it's obtaining is from the data that I gave it, and then the other 10% is data that it has to look online. And sometimes that's when it has the discrepancy of sometimes looking in the right place and sometimes looking in the wrong place, even though it might come to the right solution, but sometimes it's getting the source from a place that maybe I don't find as accurate as other websites sometimes. But what I want to show you this video is how I created a custom GPT that can help you analyze the zoning and the analysis of a specific city. So for this specific case, I did it on Santa Barbara because one of my clients, they spend, especially also, I could take it firsthand when I used to work in other companies, I spend, and it was one of the most dreadful things to do, is just like every address every time you have a new project is spending hours kind of going through the code, and then sometimes you already type that in and then you forget where you got it from, and then sometimes you need to double check, and then you have to spend another 20-30 minutes going to the code, and then depending on which the city or the county of Santa Barbara, it's a different code, it's a different section, and just having a custom GPT that you can help you at least get the guideline, and it kind of help you examine where to look. It will save you hours of work. So even if it saves you, in every analysis, it saves you 2 hours of work every time you have to do the research, wouldn't that make 100% sense to customize one for you? For every time you have a project, you can customize it. So in this case, I want to show you how do I customize one so you can do the same too. So in this case, for instance, I customized this GPT. You can download it if you want to. It's called City of Santa Barbara, or SB Property Analysis by Dilo Created Lab if you're in Santa Barbara. Otherwise, you can duplicate these depending on your city. It will take a little bit of time, I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's so much worth it. So first of all, I just want to kind of show you how it works. So what I did is on the back end, and I'll show you the back end, but the back has, I'm not gonna say it has all the code analysis, but what I did, I reverse engineer. So I kind of look at a cover sheet of one of my clients of what we normally get as the zoning and what are the most important things to determine. So for my client, the most important things to determine every time they do the project analysis is the zoning, the general plan, the land use, the setbacks, the height limitations, of course, and then they honestly also want to kind of calculate the average lot unit density for specific for potential real estate development projects. And at the same time but at the same time that's difficult because it really comes down to what you want to do with the site. So unless you have that information, you can really not determine that. But I did custom the GPT to kind of give you a good, like based on the information previously, what would you recommend and why? So it will give you recommendations based on that, so you can kind of go ahead before you even start kind of thinking about those things. But those are the main things that the client wanted, and I was like, okay, so how can I build these tools so it just grabs that information? So in the back end, all the information that it's gathered are PDFs and JPEGs or links to websites that the custom ChatGPT can go and locate those. So for instance, if I go to, that's a good one. So it's explore GPTs, and if I go to my GPTs, and if I go to my GPT here, and I should be able to configure this one. I don't know why it doesn't allow me to configure it. Give me a second here. So let's go back again. My GPTs. Oh, here it is. So I can edit this guy. So as you can see in the back end, a lot of these things are, so think about it like you give it a name. So first of all, I'll show you how to create one, but just to kind of get an overview. So you will give it a name, you will give it a description, and then here's where you give the instructions. So think about that, like you tell the GPT, the custom GPT, what you wanted to do. And what I did is, because they wanted a few different things, I divided it in steps and create little tables for them. By the end, you will get like a link to a whole table, like a compiled table that will be easy for someone to just go and print or have it as a PDF that they can actually look at all the data that they got. So to me, it was like, let's go step by step, because you have to reverse engineer, right? Like, so for me to calculate the FAR or the average unit size, or to calculate something, or to calculate parking, you need to start with knowing the zone. And also to calculate the height limitations, you need to know the area and the zone. So I start with what's the first thing that you need to know before you can move to the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. And then by the time you get to step number 4, the GPT can already get information of what it got in the first 3 steps to complete the other information. So that's the way I thought about it, and I'll show you eventually the whole thing that I did here. But also, because I wanted to make it as easy as possible, really the only thing that I put here as a question, as a conversation starter, is what is the address of the project? Because I want people that whenever they use this GPT, that the only thing they need to do is just type the address. That's it. You don't even need to type the APN or anything like that. You don't even need to go to the assessor map of the city. You just type the address. You just have to make sure that the address, for instance, for this specific case, you just have to make sure that the address you are typing is for the city of Santa Barbara. Because if for whatever reason you're typing an address that is for the county of Santa Barbara, which is outside the city, or any other place that is not the city of Santa Barbara, then it's not going to give you the information, because most of the information that is coming from here is kind of really going through this. It's very specialized. And then from here, I kind of give it specifically the PDFs and the JPEGs or the Excel sheets that it will need to determine where is it going to grab that information from. Now, something that I love about it was that, for instance, for the zoning map, that's a map, right? Like, it's a map. It's like a map that the city put together and just put some colors depending on the region. I don't know if it will allow me to, but that's pretty much is a map that it's colored with a legend. And I didn't know if, and that was my main concern, I didn't know if the GPT was actually gonna be able to read it, because I was like, well, I'm gonna give it this PDF, like it's a map, but how is it gonna know where the address, what the location of the address is? And apparently it's able to figure it out that that's the city of Santa Barbara and that's the address, and able to locate that and locate the zone based on the legend, which I thought it was super cool. And then here I give it the other pieces of information that I needed. I kind of went through the website. So this is the thing that takes a little work, because you actually have to do the work manually the first time. Now you really need to do the work manually. You need to get the answers manually. And then based on each answer that you get manually, then you upload the PDF that it's you know, that you need to download. Because the thing is, right now, because we're living the digital age and now we have the upcodes and all these things, we can see the code, or not the code, like the cities thing, but it's divided in different websites, in different links and everything. So it's good when you have it like that. Then as capabilities here, you know, again, you can kind of do this, then code interpret data analysis. Honestly, you can kind of take out the web search, since you're already creating a specialized one. Now the thing, the web search helps me and helps sometimes is where, like, for instance, I don't want people to go having to try to get the APN. So what I did is, like, I added the web search, and along there, so I show you this. So this is pretty much the code that I use to build my custom GPT. And it's not, I'm gonna call it code, but it's not really code. It's just the prompt that I use to generate my custom GPT. And if you can see, it says step 1, right? And you get that, and you tell it summary the results in a table format as follows, and boom. Right, so I start with determine the zone based on the city of Santa Barbara zoning, map title, blah, 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 title, blah, 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 information that the city has up there. Along with that, in some descriptions, I even put the website from the city, or where the code is, the specific code is, along with the PDF. So I give the GPT the PDF, but I also give it the link to where you can also get the PDF, just in case. If you see this, I'm saying, like, give priority to PDFs and websites given. Don't use any other source except for step 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is because I don't want my custom GPT to grab any of the first 5 steps from websites like Zillow or Redfin or anything like that, because we actually wanted to make it as reliable as possible, and we want to make sure that the custom GPT is actually grabbing information from the website that the city has information from. You don't want it to grab from, you know, a real estate website that maybe is not 100% accurate, right? Or is not updated. So, and the other steps really, it's because I really needed to get the APN. So to get the APN, I really needed to get to a website, and I need to calculate something, and I just couldn't. I was not able to. Sometimes it doesn't work as well. Sometimes it really needs that web search, but at least you can control it with a prompt saying, like, hey, I want you to, you know, not use any other thing than what I'm telling you on these steps, right? So you can kind of prompt it to, and sometimes it obeys, sometimes it doesn't, to be honest. So you have to make sure that you know where you're getting your information from. Again, and one of the things you have to understand is that with AI is just giving you it's giving you a foundation, but it's not doing the work for you. So at the end of the day, you need to go and double check these things. The great thing is, like, you already have like a good starting point of everything you're looking for. A lot of the data that you're getting, it's already kind of giving you here, telling you, oh yeah, SVMC 30, you know, where the code is, so you can just go there. It saves you a lot of time in that sense, because you're just double checking at this point. You're just making sure, double checking that everything is fine without you having to go and start from scratch. But here I would recommend you to do the web search, but prompt it to where you want it to do the web search. Otherwise, just stick to the code interpreter and data analysis, which is what you're giving it here. unless you have a custom GPT that actually needs some images or graphics, then I'll use the Canvas or the DALL-E image generation. What my understanding was, what my experience was with this, which was a little strange, was that whenever I will turn on the Canvas and the DALL-E image generation, my answers were not as accurate, even though you could potentially say, well, you're not really even using the Canvas or DALL-E for this specific address. I'm not asking you to generate an image, but for whatever reason, the answers that it will give me when I will activate these two were not the same as if I will have these ones disabled. So I will recommend you to not turn these two on unless your custom GPT is specifically for images or graphic design or some sort of like image art generation thing. So this kind of pretty much how I created. And then here you can test it. So they tested with I already had, as I mentioned before, I already had a few projects done that we already did the project analysis of. One of them was this one, so I will test it, right? I will do these ones. So I'll test it with 5 addresses just to make sure that you can say Santa Barbara, right? And you don't even have to be like accurate as far as like giving it the zip code and all this. You just have to, type the address. Just 1 Castillo Street, Santa Barbara, that's CA. And you just wait. Also, something that I noticed is that you generally speaking want to do this twice, just because there will be a very generally speaking, 90% of the things that it will get you are right, but there will be a few times, because it's an AI, it's a good and the bad thing. It reasons, which is great, but on the other side, because it's AI, it never gives you the same answer, right? It's not like 1 + 1. It's not like you are getting like a calculator where 1 + 1 is always going to give you 2, whereas here, sometimes it will give you a different answer. Not for everything, but sometimes it will get another code here, or it will do something very mildly different than the previous answer for whatever reason, right? So it has that inconsistency. So because you know that the AI always gives you different answers and tends to be a little more inconsistent in that specific thing, I would recommend you to always test it twice. So once you kind of get the report on here, like type it again, right? And then just to kind of see if there was something different that it gives you, and if that and if that's the case, that's maybe something you really need to go double check, making sure like, okay, it's not being consistent with the zone. So so for instance, you see how here, for whatever, it's because it's on the testing part, but here it gave me everything good. Yeah, I know that these are the setbacks. Yep, 45. Yeah, that's the right number. I already know exactly what to. Yeah, 0.39 is the acres. Yep. So all these is right. For instance, this one here. Yeah, that's right. Recommended 20. For instance, that's not good, but this is good. The 8 units based on the code. Yeah, that's the recommended. Yep. Total numbers of bytes. Yep, that's right. That's not right, it's 10, I believe so, based on the, but then you can kind of ask it, and then it has a full report here to kind of, it can give you. So that's pretty much how you do it. If you don't know how to do it, if this is your first time with ChatGPT, so I will say, if you have an account, this will work with the Plus account. I don't know if it will help with, I don't think you are able to create a custom GPT with a free account, but if you really want this for free, which again, I think this is a lot more valuable. I think this is a lot more valuable than the $15 it charges. I think $15 to $20 a month that it charges. I think is a lot more valuable than that. But if you want something for free, I believe Gemini Pro is free, and it has the same concept. You can generate like your own custom Gemini and potentially do exactly the same thing that I'm doing here with ChatGPT. But a way to create one is like, if these will be your main site, so you will go to Explore GPTs, right? Go to Explore GPT section, and in the Explore GPT section, you will go and say create. once you press create, you pretty much, that's it. I mean, you pretty much just kind of start creating. You go to, you know, hi, I will help you to generate, you will say something. So if you want to ask anything on how to create it, or how do I create a ChatGPT, then yeah, but otherwise you can just go to configure. So think about this as an assistant. So you can type things here to kind of ask him how to assist you creating a custom ChatGPT that can use it. So if you're unsure on how to create a custom ChatGPT, you want to create a tool and you're unsure how to create that tool for that specific thing, just ask the GPT, like, hey, how do I create a custom GPT that can help me resolve X, right? And it will kind of give you an ideas of how can you leverage it so it can actually help you resolve that. If you already have an idea of how to do it and you don't really need the questions until later, then you come here and then yeah, that's what you do. Then you do you put it like the name. You can do the, you know, city of Myrtle Beach, and you can say zoning tool, right? And then here you can say zoning for residential buildings, right? And so you know that this is mainly gonna be zoning, all the zoning analysis that you need for residential, because you 90%, 95% of the work you do is residential. So you know, and then here's where you can say determine, you know, step 1, determine zoning based on, you know, code of Myrtle Beach, comma, and then here you can put XXX PDF, right? And then you can give it the PDF where that specific part of the zoning or the map is. So you pretty much give it instructions. Then here's where the conversation starts, is whenever like you go to a PDF, to a custom GPT. So for instance, if I go to mine here, you see how it starts with 1. Is why I gave mine just that quick, because mine is really about you just give me your address and I'll give you the whole report, right? But this is like the conversation starters are pretty much that. It's like, what do you want, based on what you want your custom GPT to do, you can kind of have like 3, 4, 5 conversation starters. So like, give me the address, give me the APN, or give me this. So if that person doesn't have the address, maybe it can give you the APN, or at least you give the user ideas of questions of how to interact with your custom GPT. And then later on here, you upload all the information that you need, whether it's a report or the code or something. And then here's what do you want it to kind of that. So you want to use that knowledgeable information, you will come here and do the custom code interpreter and data analysis. Then I would normally recommend to take these out unless yours do a little bit of art. And this web search is, I would recommend you to use it, but put in the prompt if you actually need it. Otherwise, I will tell you to don't use it and just use the code interpreter and data analysis and put the PDFs that you need here. Here, depending on you can, again, I think you should test it. I think you should start with these on, see it gives you the accurate information. If it doesn't, then you can always enable it. So that is it. As I mentioned before, you know, I mean, it will take you a little bit of time. This is what I have with the code. So what I would recommend if you want to create your own zoning tool is to get a project that you already did or you're gonna do, and think about journaling. So start with, okay, normally whenever I'm going through the zoning, right, analyzing the zoning or coding or whatever, where do I start? And whenever you start with something, say, okay, that's probably step 1. Like, really, like, journal it in your mind. Like, how will you, if you have to journal, if you have to explain an intern how to put together your zoning analysis for you, as far as like step 1, go and look at the city of Myrtle Beach or Santa Barbara or blah 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 here, right? So that's exactly where you, so treat the custom GPT as an intern for the first time, except that once you explain him once, he's probably going to do a really good job the second time. So explain it in writing of exactly how you want it to get done, write it in the note thing, upload this to, you know, your custom GPT and start testing. Like, you can start testing. So whenever you are creating it, I think I'm going a little too long on this video, so sorry if I'm trying to, but I'm really trying to explain to you guys like how whenever I was doing this, I was testing it. So every step I will create one step and then I'll put the address, I'll test it, I'll make sure it was giving me the right zone. Then I will go to step 2. I will, you know, create the great thing is like you can copy paste your previous step and then just adjust it to kind of just, instead of saying zoning, now it says general map. And then test it. As soon as you're done with step 2, put your address here and test it again. And if it gives you this right zoning and the general plan, then you go to the next one. And if for whatever reason it does not give you the this right zoning or the right general map, maybe there's something wrong with the information you are giving it. Maybe there is a different source of information you want to give it. Maybe you have something here on that it should be off or on, so you can test it here too. Maybe you need to adjust the prompt so it has more specificity. Maybe you have to actually give it like a website link, like sometimes I do have like a link specific to the website where I found the information. So it's a lot about testing and trial, but it's so much worth it, because imagine just every time now I have to kind of go to the city of Santa Barbara and get an address there. East Haley Street. You know, it will give me a whole report. Like, it will give me a whole report that I can go from. You see, so you know, I know this address, I know this is correct, right? It tells me industrial, right? This doesn't apply because it's not, you know. Now here is the dangerous part. You see how here it tells me Zillow, right? So probably there's where I have to potentially come back here, and maybe that here's where I have to go back and see what's Haley Street. And maybe it's right. I mean, I know it's right, but I don't love that it's getting the information from Zillow, right? So here's where I will do it again. Well, I might have to start all over again and do it. But this is great because when they sometimes give you the sources, you can kind of go back and really see where it's getting information from. And if you don't like where it's getting it from, maybe you can, in the next time, ask to kind of give you, so for instance here, it gives you another source of information of the city of Santa Barbara, right? And here's where it gives you the information of the zoning maps that you can double check. So that saves you a lot of time, because instead of you having to go and look for it, you actually can go and look in the city of Santa Barbara exactly where that is. Hey buddy. So that is all for now, guys. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you in